So what can I say about one of the most inspirational movies in cinema history that everyone hasn't said before? Well, unlike the prequels, I didn't grow up with these movies like many other Star Wars fans have done, so my opinion on it is different to others, especially because I grew up in a generation where the internet has grown the fastest it has done since its initial release to consumers. I mention this because I watched this movie and the others to get an idea of what the filmmakers want you to see. The rebels are the good guys, and the Empire are the bad guys. Luke is the hero, Obi-Wan is the old mentor. But as society has grown since the day of the internet, it has become more accessible for people to use it and share their opinions on this movie, as well as the others as well. There have been some theories about this movie that don't seem to make it as black and white as you may remember it. First of all, what's the story? The Empire has hunted down a rebel ship because it has stolen plans for the Empire's new weapon, the Death Star. In an effort to get them to safety, Princess Leia Organa gives the plans to her droids and sends them off to a nearby planet. There they find a farm boy called Luke and an old hermit called Obi-Wan, and enlist the help of a pilot called Han Solo and his friend Chewbacca. On the way to deliver the plans, they get captured by the Empire on the Death Star and end up rescuing the princess and working with the rebellion and using the plans to blow up the Death Star. Now this movie, by anybody's standards, is a masterpiece. The story is easy to follow, the characters are interesting to watch and to listen to, and the information that you get just from facial expressions and the voices of the characters are some of the best I've ever seen in any of the movie. The scene where Obi-Wan sees the message of Leia, the look on his face makes you realise he knows this girl and he knows his past. He's got a past with her, and if what she's saying is true, that Obi-Wan needs to rescue her because she is in grave danger. That's a lot to convey without any dialogue, but by God, Alec Guinness's acting of this role just gives the character such a history. Darth Vader is another example of this. He may just seem like a black-suited leader, but by God, James Earl Jones' voice just gives him such definition. You can tell this character has been through a lot and he means business. The effects for the time were groundbreaking and is one of the main reasons why this movie has got so much traction. They even hold up even years later, and since the remastered special editions have come out, you get the luxury that most older movies don't, which is getting at their special effects revamped and brought back and made it even better than it was originally. Although it would be nice to see the original unedited versions on DVD, but they are nowhere to be seen. You can get them on the internet, but I'm talking about getting them in retail. It would be nice just to see a comparison of how things have changed over the years, but for some reason George Lucas doesn't want us to see it. But is this movie perfect? No. There are still lots of problems with this movie. The dialogue does at times feel a little wooden. For example, Luke's whininess and Solo's constant complaining. You don't notice it when you first watch it because you're so distracted by how good the story is, but go back and watch it in detail and tell me you don't notice it. There are lots of things to the plot that don't add up as well. Mark Hamill himself said in recent interviews when they were talking about the original Star Wars movies that he and many others thought the story of this movie was very goofy and it would never work. And yeah, if you think about it, it is. But it was executed in such a way with very harsh limitations on George Lucas that it made it work. And in regards to the point I made earlier, in the age of the internet you can get any information in relatively short amounts of time, but you can also get other people's opinions on things that happened years ago, and for people now re-reviewing and reanalyzing these movies and finding different points of views in them. For example, in this movie, the story is meant to be told that the Empire are the bad guys, the rebels are the good guys trying to bring peace, and Obi-Wan wants to train Luke to help him fight the Empire. But when you look at it a little closely, especially when you have all the other Star Wars media contributing as well, you realise that the Empire are actually the predominant force in the galaxy, and a group of terrorists have stolen the government plans for a space station that was built to destroy these terrorists and the rebellion as well, to keep the others from stepping out of line. That doesn't sound like the Empire is doing anything wrong at all, apart from taking out the local insurrection that any government would do if there was a group of terrorists running riot. And with the addition of Star Wars Rebels and Rogue One, this idea is built in even stronger, so you can understand where the Empire is coming from. Another small note that you can see just from this movie alone, Obi-Wan mentioned that the Sandcrawler had been destroyed by stormtroopers because their aim was so precise. Now, as we know from other Star Wars media and even further into this movie, this is not the case, and they are in fact bad at aiming. When this then changes the scene from Obi-Wan trying to recruit Luke to help him bring peace to the galaxy, to Obi-Wan lying to Luke in order to brainwash him to join his religion and help fight and bring down the local government. Again, You wouldn't see this when the movie first came out, but you can see it years later because of people with newer views on life and analysing these movies and thinking, hang on, that doesn't make sense in our current environment. However, that doesn't make this movie a bad movie. It's just nice to offer a new point of view, and in 30 years time from now, people are going to be reanalysing all of the movies and making new deductions from them again. But again, I love this movie. The effects were groundbreaking for the time and I still hold up even today. The characters are acted so well and they give such a pass to each one of them in just the one movie. The story is great, the action is great, and if you want some Star Wars in your life, strap in and give it a watch.